Sitting to my right, Joe Mantegna. Good to see you, Joe.
Good to be seen. I think I need a tissue note. I'm crying from watching.
Are you serious?
That clip.
You're getting emotional
I
just
get a
seeing
little
that?
watered up, Sure, can't help it.
No kidding.
Yeah. Kind of. It's funny. I'll just be looking at, maybe looking through Sports Illustrated, and there'll be a little blurb about something about the Cubs, and I'll just I'll catch myself.
Just start
I say,
crying.
what's going on? But,
Can you put it into words?
No, I don't. I think real Cub fans get it. You can't put it into words. 108 years is a long time. My mother's 101.
Are you serious?
She is. God bless her. She's 101 years old. And I think to myself, when my mother was born, the Wright brothers had just kind of flown, and yet the Cubs hadn't won for about 6-7 years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
They were already on a losing streak. So you think about it, that's a long, long time.
So were you able to share this with your mom at all?
Knowing my mom, her attitude would be right now like, oh, that's nice. It's like,
right.
She's, but it's good. It's all good.
Of course it's all good.
Yeah.
So, man, the Cubs and what they represent, as much as I hear that, I also, when I hear from Chicagoans that it's a Bears town, when it's all said and done, where do you stand on that subject, Joe?
It became a Bears town basically when the Cardinals left. I go back to when the Chicago Cardinals played at Sox Park, at Comiskey Park. So we had two football, we got used to growing up, two football teams, two baseball teams, and you picked your allegiance.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, when the Cardinals left, you only had the one football team. So I think that's what, in a way, made the Bears, gave them up even the ante with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always said it. I got cursed by being, not cursed, but in the sense that I grew up on the west side of Chicago. There is no east side of Chicago. You have the lake. So if you're on the north side, you're born a Cub fan. You're born on the south side, you're a Sox fan. West side, it's jump ball. You can go in any way. My dad put it on me to be a Cub fan because that was his team.
Sure.
So it's like, and there were times, believe me, in my life when I thought to myself, Dad, you could have helped me out by maybe going with the White Sox. I'd have had some satisfaction along the way. But no, I was, diehard Cub fan, have been, all my life.
But even it's tough to think, as much as the Bears and what they mean to folks in Chicago, that if the Bears won the Super Bowl again, that 5 million people would show up to Grant Park. That what we just saw, the sea of humanity.
Yeah, I don't
Joe,
know.
was unbelievable.
Because we can go back to '85. At least the Bears won in '85.
Right.
So there's that's happened in a lot of people's lifetime at least. So I don't know if the Bears will pull 5 million for that, but it would be big. It'd be terrific. When I hosted Saturday Night Live in 1991, at that time, because they knew I was from Chicago, they wrote a skit for me, and it was that original skit, The Bears.
No way.
Yeah, I did the very original one.
The Swirsky brothers?
Yeah, the Swirsky brothers. That's what it got introduced. And we thought it was a kick. Robert Smigel wrote the skit, and I'm there with Chris Farley and Mike Myers, and we did the skit thinking, oh, this will be cute. Of course, the next day in Chicago, they were running that skit like on the radio constantly. Next thing you know, there's billboards, The Bears, The Cubs, The Bulls, the da-da-da-da-da. Then of course, George Wendt, who's a dear friend of mine, he hosted the show like maybe 2 weeks later. They said, well, we're going to bring that skit back. And they made him my brother. And then they kept inviting me back, but I was on a series then. I was doing something at the time, whatever I was doing at the time, and I couldn't keep flying to New York to do the skit. I said, well, let George. George is free. Cheers was done. So he did it. Yeah. I did one more, I think, with him, but who knew that was going to be what it became?
Well, I just love that. A Ditka against a hurricane. Who wins?
Yeah. In the episode, the first one I did, we talked about if Ditka was shrunk down, who would win? I said, well, mini Ditka. Well, I don't know. With the mini Bears, we might have done all right. But it was, we thought it was just kind of goofy, ridiculous, but it turned into this huge thing, which was great.
And they just brought it back for a commercial with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah, and we did. We actually they brought us all back, and they built a set in Chicago, and we did a promo thing for, I forget who it was, I think it was for one of the shoe companies, and we recreated the whole thing. It was right after the Bears lost the Super Bowl in Indianapolis, and they were prepared for whoever was going to win. Of course, then when it was Indianapolis, they brought in what's his name, the kicker for Indianapolis at the time.
Was it
the great
Vanderjout or Vinatieri?
Vinatieri.
Sure.
So Vinatieri comes on, and we do a little skit with him. And I says, well, you would have lost if you'd have been playing against the real Bears. And he goes, what do you mean, the 85 Bears? I go, no, I mean your Kodiak, your Grizzly, your Brown. So you gotta find the humor where you can with the Bears these days, but it's okay.
Yeah, where do you stand on Cutler? Where do you stand on him?
Well, I've never met the guy. I'd like to like him. I mean, I hope that I hope I get to, because I often find that sometimes when I detest somebody, without having met them, then you meet him and you go, why? What was? Hey, this guy loved this person. You know what I mean? And I shouldn't say that. I don't detest Cutler, but it's like you keep wondering: is he one of those? Is he a Ditka kind of guy? Is he one of those guys? Is he a McMahon kind of guy? I know Jim McMahon. I've played golf with him. So I know what it's like to play golf with a guy who's plays golf barefoot and still wears the things. And Jimmy's Jimmy.
Sure.
But Cutler, from what I hear, he's like really. I just read a thing. In fact, I think it was just today. I think it was Olson, who used to be tight end with
Greg
the Bears.
Olson, yeah.
Olson was quoted as saying Cutler is really, he's getting a bad rap. That the guy really takes it hard, wants to. It's just that Chicago thing. I guess the Chicagoans, we don't see that Ditka thing. I don't know what else to call it. We're like, I'm a Bear. I'm gonna, banging heads with the offensive line. I guess this is kind of what we expect and are used
just
to.
the pulse.
Yeah,
Right.
he's a little maybe too sophisticated for us. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But I give him a break. I mean, God bless him. I hope. I'll put together a few wins and he'll be, they'll make him mayor.
Joe Mantegna here on the Rich Eisen Show, CBS's Criminal Minds. You directed the episode that's tonight at 9 Eastern Time. I've always wanted to ask you, what's your favorite David Mamet play? What's your favorite?
Well, Glenn Ross is going to have to be a special one for me because that was a play. I mean, I'd been acting for about 15 years, banging around, doing things, in Chicago, New York, L.A., and then all of a sudden he calls me up, and I'd worked with David many times prior to that. Says, hey, I've got this new play, Glenn Ross. We think we might go to New York. Next thing I know, I'm in the play. I win the Tony Award. The show wins the Pulitzer Prize. I couldn't have scripted a better year for myself than 1984 doing that play. So, I mean, that play changed my life. And ironically, in fact, today is David Mamet's birthday. So happy birthday,
No
Dave.
kidding.
Yeah, today's his birthday.
Oh, no kidding.
So, yeah,
A genius, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like probably the guy who did the original Hamlet with Shakespeare. Like, yeah, my friend Bill called me, offered me this part. I played as, Prince of Denmark. I don't know.
Gave me a skull.
Yeah,
right.
I do this thing with the skull and the thing and the thing, and it seems okay, So I feel like that guy, I feel very fortunate to have that relationship.
Joe Mantegna here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, and it seems like you're enjoying your time with Criminal Minds on CBS.
Love it. Yeah, we're in our 12th season. The show is yeah, and that's rarefied air, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good place to work. I mean, we have good writers. The crew's fantastic. The cast's fantastic. I mean, it's a good time, and it's what I've been looking for. I mean, I've had a long career. I've been very lucky, but I was looking for a way to come home at night. I've got a wife and 2 daughters, and they've traveled the world with me. But it got to a point where Daddy was having to travel a lot by himself because when the kids get big, they don't need to go, spend a month in Toronto or something like that.
Sure.
So being able to go home at night and still be, love what you do, which I do, it's a real blessing. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be doing it. I'm glad the show's doing so well.
Yeah, 12 years, almost a tenth of the Cubs' weight, right there.
Yes, I'm spitting the
1/10.
bucket. Yeah, spitting the bucket in terms of the
In
Cubs.
TV life, it's an eternity.
Yeah.
For your, Cubs weight,
Yeah, I don't think we're going to run 108 years with Criminal Minds.
Hey, you never know.
You never know.
You never know. Thanks for coming on, Joe.
My
Love having
pleasure.
you. Come back, please.
Thank you.
You bet. Joe Mantegna.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.